the mindset doctor, Dr. Justin Moseley. What's up, brother?
What's going on, man? I always love being with you, man. Always a great conversation.
Let's go. Let's go. So you were just saying what you're back in Nashville, came back in from Idaho, headed down to Florida. What's next, bro? You're all over the place.
Yeah, man. Busy season. Just spoke in Boise, and then heading down to Naples, Florida tomorrow. So another event down there. It's gonna be fun.
Let's go. Let's go. Excited to chat today, man. Excited to talk about leadership. Excited to kind of dive into becoming a better leader, and got a couple questions lined up for you. But other than that, man, just excited to wrap with you, and the countdown. We're less than 30 days from the conference. Like, let's go,
Wow.
man.
Yeah. I'll be here before we know it, man. Hopefully, everybody
um,
listening is signed up already.
yeah, we've got a ton of people that are going to be in the room, and it's been really cool, man, to see uh, certain types of people, certain industries, certain folks, where they're at, revenue, employees, but more importantly, why leadership. Like, it's been really cool to talk to folks about why they're focused on becoming a leader. Which in turn has my question to you actually today, Dr. Justin, is when did you focus on this becoming a leadership? Like, when in your business, when did it actually get to the forefront of your brain where you said, hey man, I've probably got to focus on this. I've got to learn the way to grow is becoming a better leader. When did that hit for you?
Yeah. So it really happened in grad school. Because I was like, I had the vision, man. I wanted to create a business and help people make a big impact. So I went to a mentor of mine and I was like, what do I need to do now in order to be successful when I open my business? And I thought he was going to tell me a bunch of sales, business, leadership, market stuff. But really, he gave me the best advice I'd ever heard. He said, if you want to be successful, you got to work on yourself. And I really took that to heart. I started diving into personal development books, leadership books, business, reading all the things, but to make myself better. And I really figured out the more that I grew, everything around me grew. And
Yep.
when we started our business, we had success rather quickly. But I really attribute that to the work I did on myself and really focusing on how can I become better and lead from a place of, hey, it's me first. How do I become better and then help others become better as well?
It's interesting, that was the kickoff, like that level, that conversation or that mentorship, you know,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. I
especially in
remember
a
back then.
time.
So I had the iPad that wasn't even out. I mean, sorry, the iPod. And I had a bunch of songs on the iPod, and he told me, he was like, I have all these leadership books on audio. So I took them. I had like 400 songs. I said, get rid of all the songs and put every book, every audio, every speaker on the iPod. And I just started listening to it over and over and over.
I love it. I love it. What you learned in that moment, what did that kick off for you, or what did that start? Like,
Yeah.
obviously reading books, obviously the iPod, right?
Yep.
But has it always been something that you're fine tuning? Have you gotten to a level where you've kind of taken your foot off the gas? Talk to us just about your journey, bro.
Yeah, so it opened my mind to what's possible. I mean, I read my first Tony Robbins book when I was 16. And because I struggled with self-doubt and low self-esteem, and I wanted to become better. And I found myself in the self-help section of Barnes and Noble, and I see this Tony Robbins book, and it was like it's huge, it's probably like 600 pages or something. But Awaken the Giant Within. But reading that book, it planted in my brain like, man, we don't have to settle for what is. We can control our destiny, but it starts with us. We've got to make a decision and we've got to start changing things. So then fast forward in grad school, get that piece of advice. I was like, man, it's time to go all in. And that led me to people like Jim Rohn, who talked about you can, um, well, it was two things. Zig Ziglar as well. Zig Ziglar, which I
Yeah.
built multiple businesses off of. You can get anything in life that you want if you help enough other people get what they want. And I love that. And Jim Rohn talks about don't wish for it to be easier, wish you were better.
Yeah.
If you want to grow, or if you want your money to grow or your business to grow, you have to grow. So it's always been that's the mindset I've had. I've never arrived. The more my business grows, I don't coast and ride this out. I'm
Yeah.
grateful. Definitely, I'm grateful. I'm thankful for all that. But I'm always looking at what's next. How can I serve more people? How can I make a bigger impact? So that's always what's driving me.
Let's go. Let's go. You got me fired up, dude. I'm over here. I'm like, let's run through some walls. Let's
Yes,
go.
sir.
Um, it's really interesting to hear you kind of talk through these different positive, people or mentors or books or opportunities that have come into your life. Who in your life has been a positive influence um here in Nashville? Has anybody really impacted you locally here from a leadership standpoint?
Yeah, and I think it goes back early on for me was my dad. My dad was an entrepreneur, so I got to grow
Yep.
up around, like, in the summers going to work with him and watching him build his business, and I was like, "Man, that's awesome. I wanna have my own business someday." So that was the start of my own entrepreneur mindset of, "Man, I wanna do this." But then, yeah, the cool thing about it is the more you work on
What would
yourself.
you contribute? What would you attribute to your dad? What leadership skill do you think he taught you
Mm,
the most?
th
It's funny you bring this up because I was talking to Nicole Kramer, one of our
Yep.
other speakers. We were talking about her relationship with her dad and leadership. So I'm interested in what was that positive impact that he had on you?
Yeah, I think it was just the mindset of you don't have to go a corporate route. You don't have to go he didn't go to college, he started his own business, and I still went to college, but I didn't have to do it a way. Just go get your 9 to 5 and make the money. Like, no, you can be your own boss. You can do your own thing. You can make the biggest thing is just a different way to look at things. I don't know. It could have been different if I had 2 parents that just went to corporate jobs and maybe that's all I knew. I could have modeled that along the way. So I'm glad I had that and kind of get to see the behind the scenes and then the resilience it takes. Watching him through the highs and the lows of entrepreneurship, I got to see behind the scenes early on. So that really helped me because, as you know, man, this is entrepreneurship is a roller coaster. There's ups and downs, highs and lows all the time, but and that's what we're here for.
It's interesting the word resilience comes up. That's one of the things that I think becoming a leader and growing and working on yourself, it's something that we never get to put that on the shelf, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Like you've got to be resilient because listen, we're trying new things, we're creating, we're trying to bring in new revenue streams and partnerships and let's partner with this person or hey, maybe we buy this company or expand or collaborate or we've got all these things we're always creating and moving through and they don't always work, right? But
Right.
that's the beauty in collaboration. That's the beauty in getting into rooms and events and masterminds and all the things because if we can enhance that opportunity or just shift it just a tiny bit to the positive, right? And not maybe have to go through some of those hardships or failures, then we can kind of save some time, right? And energy and headspace. But more importantly, I think we always have to have that level of resilience. It never
Yeah.
goes away, whether it's 5 million, 10 million, 20, 50, 100 million, $200 million company. I think we're going to have those things that pop up that, someone said to me recently, like, oh, I got another fire to deal with today. Right. And I was like, hey, when do you not have one to deal with?
That's right. Yeah.
You know, like instead of like celebrating and talking about, oh, I got another fire to deal with. Let's celebrate the days where we don't, but making sure we understand that every day there's a fire if we're creating and we're doing new things
Right.
and we running new ad campaigns or trying to put together an event in San Diego or whatever we're doing to grow that business. I think
Yeah.
those things always come up. So resilience, man.
Yeah, I mean, resilience is huge, and that reminds me of one of the things I learned from Tony Robbins. He said, "Problems are a sign of life. The only people that are dead." And I
Yeah.
think it's definitely as business owners and entrepreneurs, we just take on more problems. If you
Yeah.
don't want the problems, go get a 9 to 5, work for somebody else, just put in your time and do your thing. But even at that, you're going to have problems. You're going to have
Yeah.
resilience. And I think that's what separates the successful is they're willing to push through the problems, which brings up another thing. Resilience is huge, but also resourceful.
Yeah.
One that I got from Tony Robbins. He said people don't lack resources, they lack resourcefulness, the
Yeah.
ability to figure it out, because that's what it takes. I mean, look at you. I mean, running these events to last year's event, all the things, you are very resourceful. And that's one of the things I really like about you. You are resilient and resourceful. And I appreciate being around people like you.
Appreciate that, man. And you too, brother. I mean, I'm always learning from you. Every time we get together, it's like a mini master class that I don't have to pay for. So I'm like so
That's right.
grateful
Yeah.
for
Always
that,
encouraging and inspiring each other, man.
and hopefully, I have a positive impact on you too. And I think that's the beauty in talking about events, right? That's the beauty in events. And I think that's the beauty in separation with impact, and especially what we got rocking next month, right? September 17th and 18th. And it's really it's really important to put ourselves in those rooms, but to make sure we're in the right rooms. And I think that's where I've put so much effort in building impact effect is like, hey, let's just not throw a million people in a room and expect magic to happen. Let's put the right people in the right room at the right time, give some guidance, create a strategy, have some intention, walk people through becoming a leadership, but more so give them opportunity to mastermind with each other. Because the reality of what I've learned in business and what I've read and what I've talked to folks and consultants and all these folks that have been doing this forever is there's a common core to most problems, right? But what the reality is the concept may not cover the understanding of that problem, but what covers it and typically uncovers is when you have that collaboration of conversation and people start to relate and go, oh wow, that's happening, but it's happening this way, or I tried this and that worked. And I think that's the beauty in having these events, right? And like I posted something on Instagram earlier today just saying like, man, I'm learning and I'm teaching and learning more, right?
Mhm.
And like
Yep.
with these conferences, yeah, I'm having a conversation with someone and hopefully they're learning, but that back and forth in the moment, in real time, talking about situations and scenarios and building real strategy based on what I've been through, what they've been through, like that's the magic, you know?
Right. Yeah.
And I'm just excited for you to be a part of that. I'm excited for, I mean, we signed up some freaking amazing people the last couple weeks who are just
Yeah.
fired up. They want to pour into others. They're excited. They're looking for people to hire. They're looking for opportunities to collaborate and, need resources and want to try new things in their business. Like the conversations I've had the last couple of weeks have just been
Mm.
outstanding,
Yeah.
outstanding.
And that's one
And
of the keys to my success was going to events, putting myself in rooms where I am having higher level conversations. Because what's cool about it is it just takes one conversation, mindset shift, one nugget that you get can change everything for you. And one cool thing about what you do, it's not just speakers coming in and give you some rah rah and you go home and apply it. It's like, no, you have real time access to the speakers. We're actually taking you through tangible stuff to make you better while you're there and after the event.
yeah,
But something key is the real time access to the speakers. Because I know me, you, I mean, we charge a lot of money for coaching for people to work with us, as well as the other speakers too.
yeah,
So the mindset for people being in the audience, this is free coaching. Come ask questions. That's why we're there. Ask questions, get feedback, get real time feedback from the speakers. Man, you got access to free coaching, all for the.
did I lose you?
I just
Oop,
it froze up for a second, but
I was gonna
yeah.
say
So
I
yeah,
missed that. Say that last part
this is
again. That
you
mic
get
drop
real time
moment.
coaching, all for the price of a ticket. That's amazing right there. So
Yeah,
I can't
it,
beat
it
that.
it's really cool to just be part of creating something where everybody looks at it through that lens, meaning the speakers all want to be there throughout the day. They want to converse, they want to solve problems and talk through and make connections and enhance the experience. And I think that's just such a magical thing that a lot of conferences and events don't have, right? And I think, someone one of my friends and I were chatting the other day, and we were like, it feels a little bit like separation season,
Mm,
right? And he was like, "Don't you feel like you're separating from a lot of other conferences?" And I was like, "Well, I think disruption is a good word, right? Because we're doing it a little bit different and it's changing kind of the experience, right? We're navigating you through and we're mixing together kind of the mastermind, the workshops, the free coaching, the Q&A, the panel, right? We've really got this really cool mix. But more so, we were talking about his level of leadership, and what he was saying is he's seeing a separation in business right now
mm,
from folks that are pouring into themselves and growing and moving through corporations and companies and taking on new roles, and jumping a couple levels in some startups that he's involved in. And then he's seeing people kind of stall out and getting moved over and passed over. And I think it's really interesting to see where we're at, where the country's at, and where people's focus are at and is at. And I think leadership is something where we never stop learning, and I'm just excited to help people through some real-time situations and scenarios that they're facing in their role, in their business, their company, on their team. Um, I talked to someone who bought a VIP ticket the other day, and they were talking about the fact that the culture internally is great, but the executive level culture is lacking, meaning like
mm.
they
Yeah.
each run their departments, but they actually don't hang out. They don't really want to hang out. Their wives don't chat. Like, and it
Right.
was one of those things where you see it at every level, and this person wants to get better and lead that executive team, even though they're not the senior executive, even though they're
Mm,
not the co-founder or founder who is on the executive team.
yeah.
So it's been really cool to kind of see who's involved and who's working on themselves and seeking to become that better leader. Justin, for you, like, when did you really start to focus on getting in those rooms and being around those folks and having some of those deeper conversations that are situational, but allowed you to kind of take those things back to your business and, really work through those on your teams?
Yeah, and it started early on for me. Let's go back to grad school. Before I even opened my business, I was looking around. I was finding mentors, and I started going every weekend. I was traveling, getting around them, and trying to learn from them. And I watched my friends in grad school just jumping through the hoops, going to class, taking tests, passing boards, but not actually getting out there and seeking mentorship. And when we started our business, ours took off while they're stagnated.
Yep.
There was a huge disconnect because then the good thing is it's like the best time to start is now. Like you could have started 20 years ago. That's not okay, or that's not available. You got to start now. So at least for some of them, now they're actually seeking mentorship and getting help. But for me, it was the earlier you can start, the better.
Yeah.
So I did it from the beginning. I never thought like, "Hey, I'm gonna go figure this out on my own." Like I'm always looking at who can I put myself around. Even to this day, got a lot of stuff going on. I meet up with people like you. I'm in mastermind groups. Even though I lead mastermind groups, I still am a
Yep.
part of them. I get coaching. I do coaching. There's always a level. I never have the mindset I have arrived. It's always no, what's next and who is there and they can get me there faster. And I
Yep.
love paying for that kind of stuff. I call it writing a check to go faster. If there's somebody who's where I want to be and I can pay them to guide me there faster, because it's going to cost me a lot of time, money, and energy to do it myself. So that, and it could be paying for a ticket to come to something like this, and it can accelerate the speed of your growth, of the leader you become, of actually creating the life that you want. But you've got to invest in yourself.
I think that's the key point is if you want a life, you've got to build it. It's got to be built from you and from within. And what are you doing to fill that cup up, right?
Yeah.
How
Yep.
are we doing that? Man,
Absolutely.
it's so interesting to really think through like time, effort, and focus around leadership. Meaning, like, I was having a conversation with another gentleman that's going to be joining us at the conference, and I asked him, why you're coming to impact effect, right? Like I know that's some people when I say that they're like, do you not want me to come? I'm like, no, 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 no. We want you to come. We love you. We're excited you're going to join us.
Yep.
But the question is more so to ensure that we can align and we can really make an impact, right? And
Yep.
you know, I think different people come for different reasons, but this person was coming because, they wanted to start to focus more on it. So there was intention, but there wasn't enough attention to it. So
Mm.
I said, well, how much time are you spending on leadership? And like, well, I read a couple books and I'm like, great start, great books. But I never really thought about how much time I spent on it. I probably don't spend more than 20 minutes a week.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was just in that conversation was the start. Like, and it was over Zoom, and just on that Zoom, it was the start to looking at this leadership thing completely different, right? And this person leads
Right.
teams. This person has a team of 18, right? And they're crushing it. They're doing a great job. But they're just realizing 20 years in that, wow, I need to spend more time on this, and it's only going to get better, and we're all going to grow, and we're going to enhance, and it was just really cool to see that real time kind of switch turn, you know?
Yeah. And the
Um,
cool thing with it too is first work on yourself and your own leadership skills, but then you get to pour into the people around you and you help them become better at their jobs, but then help them become leaders. And then they start leading people around them. And that's when it really gets fun. And the production goes up and the money goes up. All the things happen because you started with yourself, but then you help others around you.
Totally, totally. And the beauty in this is leadership translates directly into your personal life, right?
Mm. Oh,
Like
yeah.
we're not teaching you a technical skill, we're not teaching you Python or how to code or how to set up a pipeline in your CRM that's specific to this technology, right? We're not doing that. What
Yep.
we're doing is we're teaching and navigating real life situations and scenarios in your business, but also concepts, strategies, adjustments, opportunities, all these other things that you can translate into your personal life.
Yep.
When did you realize that crossover in your life? Because for me, man,
Yeah.
like there was a point where I'm reading the books, I'm doing the things, I'm in the corporate world, I'm getting some training from the company, I'm buying stuff outside, right, to enhance myself,
Yep.
but it didn't really kind of click over for me. Like it didn't really make sense to lead my personal life. I was almost living these two different lives where it was like, read this book, apply it only in business. Read this, take this course, apply it only in business.
Mm.
When did you realize that the leadership crosses over in this beautiful way and in your life holistically?
Yeah. And it's cool because my wife is in the business with me. So we get to work together and build it. So we have the working relationships and the personal relationship.
Yep.
And you do have to separate it. You'd be like, okay, am I talking to my spouse or my business partner here? So it's
Yep.
different conversations there. But one thing I learned like early on in business, because of the leadership and the stuff I'd done, we did kind of skyrocket, but then it plateaued. And then I realized, man, there's a whole other level I can go to. And I had to ask myself, who do I need to become as a leader to make it to that next level?
Yep.
So then I started doing even more, getting around higher level thinkers and all the things that we talked about earlier. But I also looked at, man, the better I become as a leader in business, the better I come as a leader in my personal relationships, my relationships with my friends. Like everything around you starts to grow when you grow as a leader.
Totally. Totally. And it's funny, I've got a friend who's going through some stuff, some personal stuff, and it was just so interesting. This is like in the last 2 weeks to see the strategies and the concept and how I would talk to an employee and a friend has now become one in itself, right?
Right.
And
Yep.
like that's a thing of beauty, and I think it took a lot of practice and it took a lot of realization. I think it takes a lot of reflection, right? A lot of growth, but the level of compassion I think doesn't separate.
Mhm.
obviously, someone you've known for 20 years and someone you've known for 2 months and you just hired is a different relationship, right? It's a different
Right.
status. It's a different uh, level to say, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's really cool to look through that lens of how I would lead this coworker, how I would lead this employee, how I would lead this executive, how I would lead this team, how I would lead this organization, this company, and how I would lead a friend, how I would lead a spouse, a family member. I think when those two things are harmonious and synchronized, there's
Mhm.
that level of like explosive growth, right? Similar to what you were
Right.
talking about.
Yeah. And as you're talking, I was thinking back at my own journey, like, because I did early on invest in seminars, masterminds, getting around the right people. And looking back, those seminars that I went to and the mentors that were on the stage speaking life into me, a lot of nowadays, I'm on the same stage with them. And
Yeah.
it's so cool to see it come full circle. I get to share the stage with them, but it was because of that leadership that I've developed in myself. Like I started here, continue to work and grow myself, and now I'm able to share and do life with the people that were former mentors and now they're friends.
Boom. Look at that, man. Look at that. Well, come do life with us at Impact Effect, everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes,
uh,
yeah. If I haven't met you yet, I'm definitely looking forward to meeting you at Impact. And yeah, definitely come chat with us. Come to ask questions as well. That's one of
yeah,
the keys that I had. Every seminar, as a speaker was speaking, I'm sitting there, what questions can I ask them? Because again, you have access to free coaching at this event.
totally, totally. And I think too, like I think the beauty in this is we're breaking down the barriers for you, right?
Yeah.
Like there is no barrier to go up and talk to a speaker. There is no barrier to reach out to them right now. There is no barrier to do some research around their journey and ask them at certain levels of growth and where you're at, right? Like all that is free. All that is the work before the work. And I think if we show up at this conference next month, there's going to be a separation season, right? There's going to be people that have done the preparation and are seeking and capitalizing on that opportunity. And that's how you squeeze the juice, right? Like you've got to be prepared so when the moment comes, you can ask the question. You can carry the conversation, you can build rapport, you can ask deep connections and build deep human connection, right? Like those deep questions will help that. So it's really cool to just have you and some of our other speakers with that mindset, the mindset doctor of helping and serving at such a higher level than most containers around events operate in. And I'm
Yeah.
just grateful and thankful for your brother.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Excited to be
join
there,
us
man.
next
Thank you for
month.
having me, man. Thank you. I appreciate, man. I love like this event I just spoke at this past weekend, just pouring life into people. That's what I'm about. And I'm excited to be a part of your event to do that even more.
Boom. All right. Well, if you haven't grabbed your ticket, we now have 26 tickets left. So impacteffect24.com, September 17th and 18th. We've got 15 speakers. It's going to be an amazing experience. It's going to be completely different than something you've probably been to. We're facilitating an experience, bringing in the workshop side of things, the mastermind side of things, the consulting, the real time coaching, the one on one conversations. So join us next month. You'll have an opportunity to meet Dr. Justin Moseley and myself, Jim Morris, as well as several other speakers and facilitators. And we hope to see you there. We hope you take one step forward to becoming the leader you can and the leader that you should be in your life and your business. We'll see you next month. Thanks for joining us, Dr. Justin.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.